guys, if you are new to the channel, my name is Andrew with Younger Nissan in Frederick, Maryland. For more information on our inventory, please feel free to check out the link in the description box below. And so today we're in the brand new 2026 Nissan Pathfinder because it has been refreshed both inside and out for the 2026 model year. You still get 2 years at 24,000 miles of complimentary maintenance, and ultimately this is a 3-row SUV from Nissan starting at under $40,000, which is kind of exciting these days. So ultimately in this video we will be testing out and going over everything about this one, from acceleration to braking, steering feel, ride quality, sound system, all that fun stuff. So having said all of that, what do you guys say? Let's just go ahead and jump right into it. And as always, let's start with pricing. So let me start by saying the S trim level is gone for 2026, which means there's a $2,830 bump for the 2026 model year here, starting with the SV trim level starting at $39,900. Got the SL for $42,500. Rock Creek 4-wheel drive starting at $45,000. Then you got the Platinum being the one we are in today. This one is going to start at $49,400. And so for all trim levels but the Rock Creek, front-wheel drive comes standard. However, you can add 4-wheel drive if you wanted to do that. Simply add $2,000 then to any of those prices. But regardless of the trim level that you go with, the power plant on the Pathfinder is going to be the same. Powering the beast is a 3.5 liter naturally aspirated V6. You gotta appreciate that. Putting out 284 horsepower at 6,400 RPM, 259 pound-feet of torque coming in at 4,800 RPM. And by the way, that's for all trim levels but the Rock Creek. The Rock Creek actually bumps that slightly to 295 horsepower, 270 pound-feet of torque. Power set to the front wheels or all wheels through a 9-speed automatic with paddle shifters, which we're going to be testing out here in a little bit. 0 to 60 time now, approximately 6.7 seconds. That is plenty respectable there for a 3-row SUV. Top speed, if you're interested, 119 miles per hour, with MPG numbers coming in at 20 in the city, 27 on the highway for the front-wheel drive, 20 city, 25 then on the highway for the all-wheel drive, 20 city, 23 then on the highway for the Rock Creek. Taking regular unleaded fuel for all trim levels but the Rock Creek. The Rock Creek actually takes premium unleaded fuel, believe it or not. I said that before we do any kind of fun acceleration or paddle shifter test here in the Pathfinder, I did want to mention to you guys the drive modes. So there's a circular dial located kind of just behind the shifter there. Drive modes will include Sport, Eco, Auto, Tow, Snow, Mud and Rut, and Sand. That's a ton of drive modes. Adjusting things like the shift points, the throttle response, the steering sensitivity, the 4-wheel drive system engagement, and the VDC tuning then as well. So now having got all of that out of the way, what do you guys say? Let's go ahead and find a straightaway. Let's put the paddle shifters and acceleration here to the test. I want to see how quickly the paddle shifters are going to react for us here. And of course, let's see how quickly we can get this one here up to speed. All right, kind of merging out onto the highway here. Let's go. Love it. Dang, I love that. I love a naturally aspirated engine, especially a naturally aspirated V6, man. There was no turbo lag because it's not turbocharged or anything like that. I feel like everything is turbocharged these days, so dang it, Nissan, I love that naturally aspirated V6. Please leave that alone because it's just a wonderful engine. But anyways, wait, I forgot, guys. I didn't do the paddle shifter test, so we're gonna do this again in first gear in 3, 2, 1, go. It's okay. There was a slight delay, but they're not that bad actually. So if you did want to use them, I actually don't mind them. Now, I do wish they were a little better finished than just a matte black plastic, maybe coated in a nice silver smooth finish or something like that, or aluminum or something. But they weren't that bad. They had decent reaction times to those paddle shifters. So well done, yet again, Nissan. But anyways, to go along with that acceleration, as always, braking is equally important. And so up front, you will find 13.8-inch ventilated front discs. In the back, 13-inch solid rear discs. As far as S6 or stopping distance goes, it comes in a very respectable 114 feet. That's a sports sedan number, you guys. But as far as braking feel goes, it's great. It's not a super firm braking feel though, and it's not a soft braking feel either. It's kind of just right for what this vehicle is. So I like the braking on the Pathfinder. That 114-foot number, typically in SUVs you find 120s, even 130s. So 114 feet, that's a sports sedan number, so that's absolutely brilliant. This thing's instantly gonna bring you to a stop. But then touching on suspension and handling, up front you're gonna get an independent strut type front suspension. In the back, independent multi-link rear suspension, front and rear stabilizer bars. Also, for the Rock Creek trim level only, you get an off-road tuned suspension then as well. Overall, as far as ride quality goes, it's been perfectly fine in my short little test drive here today. Definitely absorbing the road imperfections perfectly fine, so I'm a big fan of that. As far as steering feel goes, it's actually not bad. Now, typically SUVs, they do kind of lean on the looser side of things, but in the case of the Pathfinder, it might be weighted a little bit more on that heavier side, definitely heavier than like a Toyota Highlander or a Hyundai Santa Fe or something like that, but not as heavy as the Nissan Frontier. Let's just put it that way, although that's not an SUV. You get my point. So it's just right for what this vehicle is. As far as cabin noise goes, we're going 20 miles per hour right now, so it's going to be super quiet, but I haven't had any issues in my short little test drive here today, so that's been perfectly on point as well. Taking a look at rear visibility here, I actually have the third row headrest tucked down. So if you don't have the third row in use, you can tuck down those third row headrests. And that's definitely going to assist with rear visibility, but since they are tucked down, I can see 100% perfectly fine out the back. But touching on forward visibility a little bit, for the Platinum trim level only, you do get rain sensing windshield wipers. So whenever this thing detects any kind of mist or rainfall, it's going to automatically turn on the windshield wipers for you. So it's just one less thing you got to worry about, kind of like automatic headlights. So that is pretty dang cool as well. But that pretty much rounds out the performance segment of this review, you guys. Let's now go ahead and take a look at the exterior now of our brand new 2026 Nissan Pathfinder. All right, so here she is, you guys, the new 2026 Nissan Pathfinder, finished in super black, in case you were curious of our exact exterior color name. But as always, let's go ahead and first start with where this one is made. Taking a look at the VIN, first character is the number 5, indicating that the Pathfinder is built and assembled here in the US, specifically Tennessee, in case you were curious. But starting up front, there is a redesigned front grille, or refreshed front grille, I'll put it that way. Specifically, the front grille is really what I noticed the most, but front grille, front bumper, a little bit of the lighting elements as well. So definitely a refresh up front here. And it looks like everything is gloss black this year as well, actually, because I remember last year the front grille was just gloss black, only if you went with the Rock Creek, but we got the Platinum trim level here today, and it is still gloss black. So looks like everything went gloss black, which I think is a good thing. Definitely a clean look up front there. LED headlights to the sides with LED daytime running lights. You get the automatic feature with those. You also get automatic high beams. So if you have your high beams on at night and it senses a vehicle coming in the opposite direction, it's going to automatically dim them back to low beams. Then when that vehicle is gone, it's going to automatically bounce it back up to high beams for you there. And also LED fog lights only if you go with the Rock Creek trim level. But overall, let me know what you guys think of the new front end. I think it's a much cleaner look. I'm a big fan, but that pretty much rounds out the front end. Let's now go ahead and swing around to the side. So, but now since we are around to the side of this one, let me start by saying black roof rails will come standard for all trim levels across the board. You actually get a roof rack with the Rock Creek, and we got the roof rack just because it's an option, so you can always add that on afterwards. But chrome or gloss black belt line molding, dependent upon the configuration that you go with there. Rear privacy glass does come standard for all trim levels across the board. You're going to find a floating roof line, although the floating roof line is kind of finished in black, so on a gloss black exterior, it's really not going to be distinguishable. But anyways, you get the point. Taking a look at the side mirrors, body colored power adjustable side mirrors will come standard. They're actually heated as well for all trim levels across the board. You're going to get LED integrated turn signals, again, for all trim levels across the board. And then if you were to go with the Platinum, they are also going to be power folding with the reverse gear tilt down feature, which is always fun. So you don't run over any skateboards or roller blades or anything like that. Not that anybody uses those anymore. And taking a look down at the wheel setup, the wheel configurations are going to differ between the trim levels, of course. You're going to find 18-inch dark painted aluminum alloys for that SV, 18-inch silver double 5-spoke aluminum alloys for the SL. The Rock Creek is going to give you 18-inch beadlock style aluminum alloys. And then lastly, 20-inch machine finished aluminum alloys for our Platinum trim level, which, by the way, new design, looks absolutely amazing in my opinion. But that pretty much rounds out the side profile. Let's now go ahead and swing around to the back. All right, so now since we are around to the back of this one, starting up top, body colored shark fin antenna. You got the rear spoiler with an integrated brake light just below that. Rear window wiper is going to be affixed to the rear glass there. Got the Pathfinder lettering spelled out horizontally, and then just below it all, there is a single exhaust outlet. But before we hit that up, I did want to mention the towing capacity comes in at 6,000 pounds, which is slightly above average. Usually you find 5,000 pounds on 3-row SUVs, so 6,000, definitely not too bad. But like I said, single exhaust outlet tucked away. So having said that, I do believe you guys know what we have to do next here. As always, here is that exhaust clip. All right, so but now since we are around to the back of the Pathfinder, when it comes to opening that rear lift gate, it is a power lift gate for all trim levels across the board, so you got to appreciate that. Then if you were to go with the Platinum, it's going to be a hands-free power lift gate, so that's pretty cool too. There is a button on the key fob, and then there's a rubberized button on the lift gate itself then as well. But once opened up, behind that third row, cargo capacity comes in at 16.6 cubic feet. If that was not enough space, of course, the third row does fold down. That's going to bump that up to 45 cubic feet then. Then with all rows folded, 80.5 cubic feet. So there is some cargo lighting back there. You got a little bit of tie-down anchors. There's a 12-volt power outlet. There's grocery bag hooks on both sides. I always use those in my SUV, so big fan of those as well. And then if you were to lift up underneath of that cargo floor, you will find in-floor storage, and it's a decent amount. It's kind of compartmentalized as well. So I was a big fan of that. And then if you're wondering, well, where's the spare tire if you got in-floor storage? Then you got to check up underneath of the vehicle, which is where the spare tire is located. So you got to appreciate that there's a spare tire and not the fix-a-flat stuff. So at least I do, because yeah, I'm a big fan of spare tires. But now let's go ahead and make our way up to the third row legroom. That comes in at 28 inches even. Not the most on paper, and honestly not as much as my Ford Mustang GT either, but for reference, I'm an even 6 feet tall. This is how much space I had in the third row there. And of course you can move the second row forward to accommodate for third row passengers if you wanted to. Cup holders for those third row passengers as well. You actually get USB charging ports if you go with the Platinum trim level only. And then of course you got rear ventilation, which is found on the ceiling of the Pathfinder. And I'm just opening the moonroof. That's what that noise is. And that's there too, but I'll get to that in a second. Second row legroom comes in at 35.5 inches. For reference, I'm still an even 6 feet tall. This is how much space I had in the second row there. Captain's chairs are going to come on the Platinum trim level. It's going to be optional for the other trim levels. Heated second row coming standard on the Platinum trim level. You got to appreciate that. Rear window sunshades for the SL and the Platinum trim levels. Dual rear USB charging ports coming standard. Tri-zone climate control though also coming standard, so driver, passenger, and rear passengers can all set their individual temperatures there. That's kind of cool. But then making our way up to the front seats, cloth seating for the SV trim level, leatherette for the SL. You're going to find a cloth leatherette combination for the Rock Creek, and then full leather seating for the Platinum trim level. Love the color combination for our particular spec, by the way. It's like this saddle brown and beige combination, and it looks absolutely amazing. But I'm getting sidetracked. Heated front seats coming standard, ventilated front seats for the Platinum, power adjustable driver's seat coming standard as well. Overall, as far as seat comfort goes, it was plenty fine. I had no issues whatsoever. Power lumbar was plenty adjustable as well, like really adjustable. Sometimes the power lumbar, you can't even feel it that much, but this one, definitely very nice. But now let's go ahead and take a look at the steering wheel. It is tilt and telescoping. It is going to be finished in a leatherette, and then it is heated if you go with the SL or the Platinum trim level, and then it's going to be optional otherwise for the other trim levels. But steering wheel was plenty fine for me. A little bit of a flat bottom too, which is kind of cool. But so then making our way to the startup, let me start by showing you guys the key here. You got your Nissan logo all the way to the top there. Lock, unlock, that button to pop the rear liftgate there, and the circular button, that is your remote start, which by the way comes standard on all trim levels across the board, so that is pretty darn cool. But it is all keyless entry with a push button start, so all I'm going to do here is simply put my foot on the brake and press that gloss black engine start button, located kind of just to the left of the center climate control buttons there. And so now let's go ahead and make our way to overall interior quality. That panoramic moonroof I was mentioning to you guys, it comes standard on the Platinum. It is optional though on the SV and the SL trim trim levels if you wanted it. Overhead sunglass holder does come standard. I like that as well. You're going to find a more powerful wireless phone charger for 2026. So they upped the ampage there. That's kind of cool. Auto dimming rear view mirror with home light controls for the SL and the Platinum trim levels, and that's for up to 3 different garage doors there. Interior accent lighting then for the Platinum trim level only. And overall, like I said, I think what makes this car for me is the color combination, the saddle brown and the beige color combo. That saddle brown is brought onto the doors. You have nice heavy duty silver door handles there. Just in front of the shifter, there's a 12-volt power outlet, couple USB charging ports. Just to the right of the shifter, you have a little slot to probably put your cell phone, perhaps, maybe not. It doesn't look that big, but a couple cup holders to the right of that. Everything surrounding the shifter is finished in a matte black. I probably would have finished that in a nice texturized plastic design, just something that's not matte black because that's kind of boring. And then just behind it all, there is a ton of space within that center armrest. You actually have a card holder on the back side of that center armrest and a pen holder then as well. So they designed that pretty darn well. There's also a little bit of rubberized storage found just above the passenger side glove box there. That's, I guess, for the passenger to put their cell phone there. Looks like you got some interior lighting straight from the 80s still. I wish they would redesign that a little bit. That's kind of old school there. But overall, it's really not that bad. I really like the texturized design found just above the climate control vents here in the corner. They should have brought that around the shifter down here. That would have been a heck of a lot better, but I do like that design. But overall, it certainly gets the job done. But now let's get to another new for 2026, which is a new 12.3-inch infotainment screen. And yes, that comes standard for all trim levels. Last year, it was either an 8 or a 9-inch screen, but this year, 12.3 inches for all trim levels. You gotta appreciate that. That's pretty cool. Bluetooth and audio streaming coming with that. Wireless Android Auto, Apple CarPlay as well. That's pretty cool. Of course, you can check out your radio information up there as well. So when it comes to the sound systems, there are 2 of them. You get 6 speakers for the SV, the SL, and the Rock Creek. And then there's a 13-speaker Bose sound system for the Platinum trim level that we have with us here today. So I do believe you guys know what we have to do next here. Let's go ahead and turn on the radio. Let's see what we got playing today. And let's test out our 13-speaker Bose sound system that we have with us here today. Yeah, it's pretty dang good. And I love Bose sound systems. I had one in my Infiniti G35 Coupe back in the day. It never failed me. They're extremely reputable company and plenty of bass there, definitely plenty of clarity. That's a really good sound system for the Pathfinder, no doubt, which is always going to lead us into safety. And so let me start with the best part. The Pathfinder is an IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus, which is the very highest designation given by IIHS, so you gotta appreciate that. Front side curtain airbags do come standard. You get driver and passenger knee airbags up front as well. In the back, you got latch, aka lower anchors and tethers to children for the rear car seats. Rear child door locks, tire pressure monitoring system, but also coming standard. Adaptive cruise control, brake assist, lane keep assist, blind spot monitoring system with rear cross traffic alert, driver attention monitoring system, front and rear parking sensors, which did not come standard last year, but does this year. That's pretty cool. Autonomous emergency braking with pedestrian detection, lane departure warning, and reverse automatic braking then as well. So overall, when it comes to my final thoughts, excellent safety. Let me start by saying that should be the first thing you look at when you're looking at a 3-row SUV, because more than likely you're going to have kids in the back. So the fact that this is an IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus says it all right there. That's the same safety rating that Volvos get, so you gotta love that. Also, I love the naturally aspirated V6 personally. Typically, it's more reliable than the turbocharged counterparts. That you don't have the turbo lag at the very beginning either, so I always prefer naturally aspirated engines for those reasons. Nice updates for 2026. I definitely like the look of the new front grille. It's more classy looking, I think, less bulky-ish, because I remember the surrounds to the front grille was a little bulky last year. Not that it looks bad, but this just looks a little classier in my opinion. And so, but that is about it for this one, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to follow Younger Nissan on social media stuff at the bottom of the screen. Be sure to hit the subscribe and the bell notification button if you're into new car reviews and all of our fun YouTube shorts we put on our channel then as well. We do appreciate you guys watching more than you know, and we will see you guys all in the next video. Bye.